I got the horse right here, the name is Paul Revere, and here's a guy that says if the weather's...
Hello racing fans, and welcome back to another edition of Handicapper's Corner, brought to you by the Derby Barn Grill. I'm Mike Heads along with Drew Forster. We're going to go through the 7 races at Hastings Racecourse on the May 2nd program, as well as touch on the 141st running of the Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky Derby, first Saturday in May, always a very exciting time for us around here, especially at the Derby Bar and Grill. We do have a little bit of standing room left if you want to come down here and grab yourself a mint julep and walk around, watch the big race. And of course, Hastings Park, they'll have lots going on too.
Yes, they will. I know they got the races on the big screens here. It's always nice to watch it here. If you can't get to Hastings, come on out to the Derby Bar and Grill if you're in the South Surrey area. Always lots of fun, great atmosphere, and Kentucky Derby Day is always a lot of fun. Well, Drew, let's get into the Saturday program. First half of your early daily double. Got a field of 5. Fillies and Mares in for $16,000. This is a non-2 lifetime, non-3 BC bred, so you get that extra win if you're a BC bred. A little perk to being a foal here in the province. I've gone to the 5-horse Catalia, who has quite a bit of form on her. She had a little trouble getting out of her conditions, but she's been running against some pretty nice horses throughout her career. Look at her form: Turlani, Hidden Harbor, Touching Promise. You go down, running against the boys. She's been in some tough races over the past 4 or 5 starts, and I just think this race has come up kind of tailor-made for her. She seems to be working well. Gets Antonio Reyes, who returns to Hastings after a 1-year hiatus, and but this filly's been working good for Gary and Sharon Sates. So I'm going to try her to win it. I'll put the Anita Bolton runner, Elusive Lily, in for second. She started off the season last year in good order with back-to-back wins. You always like to pay attention to horses that do well. First crack out of the box, and this horse did really well. This barn is always noted for doing well, and obviously got off to a great start on opening weekend. Pedro Alvarado, great to see him back in the saddle after a 1-year training. He's back in the saddle.
He made some noise opening weekend too.
He did. He rode well. He didn't look out of place at all. And this filly's worked well. I think it's 3-5, 5-3. I did go 5-3. I put Bamboo Dream, the 1-horse, and Patty Laney in for third. This filly's been working quite stylishly in the morning, and has been coming out of some tough races too. So her being down for 16 makes her a little bit of a presence as well.
I got the same horses, Mike. I did put Elusive Lily on top, as you mentioned. I mean, it's kind of between those two, her and Catalia. I put her on top because the one time they met last year, Catalia did beat her by 3/4 of a length, but she was a 3-year-old then. Now she has the extra year under her belt, maybe got a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. And Anita Bolton's stats with these kind of runners are off the charts. 78% for horses coming off a layoff. Catalia, as you mentioned, it's between those two. Her last race, you ran a good second behind Turlani. There's no Turlanis in here, So I got her in the second spot. And again, same as you, I got Bamboo Dream in the third spot. I wouldn't be surprised to see her win it, though, if the pace develops and gives her something to run at. She's got a great closing kick. First off the bench last year, she only got beat 3/4 of a length by Hollywood Miss and Madeira Park, so she definitely is.
You're right. There could be a pace in here with Wild Rose of Texas and Atacama April, who's we've left off the ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Atacama April's live and running all winter, but there could be a pace which could play out nicely for Bamboo Dream. But a pretty tough opener.
Yeah, you can make a case for pretty much every horse in this race. I went 3, 5, and 1 in the opener. On to the second, Fillies and Mares, another non-2, non-3 BC bred. This one's for $8,000, going 6 furlongs, and I went to the 1-horse, DS Chavon, out of the Marc Cloutier barn. Took a little while to break her maiden, but once she did, she got really on a roll. 2 wins in a second, her last 3 starts here at Hastings, and been working forwardly. All the Marc Cloutier horses have looked very good this year. They made good account of themselves. And gets Antonio Reyes, as you mentioned. He's back after a year off at Hastings, and a strong, good rider. I think Antonio Reyes will win a lot of races this year, and I got him picked to win this one. In the second spot, I went to Moonride, the Doug Clyde horse, trained by Mike Anderson. They claimed it in Golden Gate in March. The next 2 races, they ran it for like 12.5s, non-2 down there. Wasn't running great, but those races can be very salty at Golden Gate. And the fact that she's been running and she's race fit, I think puts her in right in the thick of this field. And she does get Richard Hamill, who got off to a slow start but woke up on Sunday winning a stake aboard Modern. He had 2 on last Sunday's card. So I got that one in the second spot. And the third spot, I went to the 5, Quiet Finality out of the Patty Laney barn. Another one that fits nicely in here. Good sharp work, 59-1 on April 26th. So Quiet Finality looks like she's on her toes for this one under Alex Marty. I went 1, 2, and 5.
Yeah, this race, Drew, looks like any of the 6 fillies do have a good chance. The reason I've gone to the 5-horse Quiet Finale just because of the dynamics of the race. It just looks like she may be able to get the lead herself, and she's
on the outside, so she can pick her spot.
Yeah. Do I think she's the best filly in the race? You know, she's close,
Maybe,
but she
yeah.
maybe not. But I just think she may get to the front, and if she gets to the front, she may not be caught. Opening weekend, there was 15 races. We had 9 front runners.
A lot of gas.
4 that came from second or third. 1 came from fourth,
just
and
one
just
mare,
rather beautiful.
yeah, just the
that
one mare
won the
Dino's,
stake
yeah.
for Dino and Swift Thoroughbreds with Rico Walcott up, came from well back. So the track did play quite nicely for horses laying up front. And if it is like that again, which you'll want to monitor throughout the day, whether the track is you know, playing favored to any particular running style. But I like Quiet Finality. She's running big race, working awesome. You look at the workouts. I mean, perhaps she's going all out in those workouts, but she is working fast. Looks like she's ready to go for Patty Laney. I put the 4-horse Queen Militant in for second. Another horse that's had a lot of chances to get out of the non-2 condition, but another one training well, working well. Sylvia's done well with her horses early in the year, so I'll try her. And I put your DS Savan in for third. But once again, I can make a case for a lot of them. The only reason I went 5-4-1 is just because of the dynamics of the race. I just think Quiet Finality may get the best trip, so I went the old 5-4-1 in the race number 2. Another third. We got some maiden $4,000 claimers going 6 panels again. We have actually 6 of the races are 6 furlongs today, and 1 is 6.5, the stakes race. But 6 furlongs is the distance. I'm going to go to the three-way trade, an obvious selection in here, dropping for Top Connections, who got off, you know, had a rough opening weekend, but don't worry, they'll get rolling. David Lopez rides for Troy Taylor. I've been working splendidly in the morning, but you're talking about a 4-year-old maiden here, so they're not going to overplace the horse unless he's, been going super great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had his chances to break his maiden by now, but this race has come up with a lot of 3-year-olds in it. I always take the 4-year-olds here at Hastings against the 3-year-olds,
Especially this early on, yeah.
And usually other jurisdictions they can be competitive, but here at Hastings, the 3-year-old, the freshly turned 3-year-olds just don't seem to get as much seasoning as other jurisdictions, and the 4-year-olds definitely have an edge. I've gone to 3-way trade to win it, not a super sharp selection, but just looks like the horse to beat. I put the 7-horse Similkameen Luke. That's kind of my long shot in the race. Horse that showed a bit of speed in some of his races. Had some trouble in some of his races, actually, early in the race. I think this will be a speed horse eventually. The works are good. A lower profile outfit that does very well with their limited starters. Alex Marty rides. I thought he got off to a very good start on opening weekend. I just think this horse it's a 4-year-old running his unseasoned 3-year-olds, and not unseasoned, but I mean inexperienced, let's say. Yeah. And so I'm going to go to Similkameen Luke at a big price, maybe to be second. I put the 8-horse, A New Path, a firster for Anita Bolton, in for third. Obviously, costs a lot of money at the sale. Hasn't panned out. Going to run her for $4,000, but the works are good, connections are good. Pedro rides. That's good enough for me. Yeah. To put her in for third. I went 3, 7, and 8, but I really like 3-way trade.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's my top selection. 3-way trade was very competitive in the maiden 25 level last year. Just got beat 2 lengths by Wonder World, who went on to win a stake. Now he's in for $4,000. All signs point to 3-way trade. Another one you mentioned, Peter Redcups, A New Path in the outside hole under Pedro Alvarado, Anita Bolton. More so than anything, the connections alone, that one led me that way. And of the form on the other horses, I wasn't really crazy about a lot of them. So I went with a couple first-time stars. I put A New Path in second and turned my crank. Doug Clyde horse, Mike Anderson, Jeff Birmingham.
Yeah, I looked at that horse. Good, decent shot as anyone, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Debuts on the Lasix program for Mike Anderson, and his stats are pretty good with first-time starters. So I went 3, 8, and 4 in the third. Fourth, Fillies and Mares, claiming $4,000, as you mentioned, going 6 furlongs. And I went to the 6, Rachel Run, another Mike Anderson horse, Richard Hamill aboard. Got on a roll at the end of last year and just rolled right through her conditions. Won the non-2, the non-3, and then won a $4,000 non-winners of the year. So 3 wins in a row. The non-3 one was super impressive, winning by 8 with a 61 buyer. She's trained well for this, nice 47 on the 20th of April. Looks to be on her toes. Mike's horses have looked very good coming into the meet. So I put Rachel Run on top. I couldn't decide between the 6 and the 4. I put Rachel Run on top. I put Willamette in the second spot. Last year when she debuted, she was running really good. Won an allowance race right out of the box last year.
For Dino.
For Dino, exactly.
He reclaimed her.
Beat Lockett and Bamboo Dream. Was claimed her next start by Steve Henson. Steve didn't have a whole lot of success with her, and Dino claimed her back her last start of the year for $5,000. Turned her out for the winner, brings her back. Janine Smith takes the call. nice kind of light rider, kind of almost like Frank, you know, light on their mouth, and she could suit Willamette. I have her in the second spot. And the third spot, I went to Honey Skila. Always competitive mare of Mel Snow's, or sorry, now Steve Henson.
Formerly Mel Snow, yeah.
Formerly Mel Snow's. But another one that always seems to hit the board or be running late and make a good account of herself. She gets Antonio Reyes. I went 6, 4, and 2.
I agree with your top pick. Rachel Run's definitely the horse to beat. Looks like speed and looks like she's going to get to the top in here. She might be able to, you know, Willamette may have some say in the early outcome, which could have some say in the final outcome. But I just think Rachel Run might be quick enough to outfoot Willamette. So I like her to win it. Another Mike Anderson runner, the one horse, Miss Heatheridge, going to put her in for second. This filly figures probably a little better going farther, but she can sprint too. She's pretty versatile. I like her, and I put the 8-horse Victoria's Spirit in for third. Yeah, for owner-trainer Jim Daly, former rider here at Hastings a couple days ago, about 30.
A few moons ago,
maybe late 70s, maybe early 80s when he last rode, but he still kept his hand in the business, and it's great to see Jim, see him every morning, and he's out there working hard. But Victoria's Spirit is live in here as well. I mean, she had some good races last year. She's 5 for 24 live. Just a nice filly with some speed. 6 furlongs, you need pace. You need to be in position, and this filly could very easily get there. So I went 6, 1, and 8. Those are the 3 I see, but I can definitely see Willamette making some impact. Honey Skila as well, that's getting into the fray. But I like 6, 1. I like the Mike Anderson runners here in race number 4. On to the 5th race. Started your late pick 3. Maiden 25,000, all 3-year-olds going 6 furlongs. I ended up on the Anita Bolton runner, the 5-horse. If we knew then, I was pretty impressed with his first up run behind Lord Rossberg and Forestry's Devil. Couldn't have picked a tougher spot to debut in the sales stake, but you know, two pretty seasoned runners he ran against, and I thought performed quite admirably.
The fact they ran him first out in a stake shows what they
thought. Yeah, well, you always want to run horse. I mean, especially sales horses. The sales stakes don't always come up super tough, but still, the horse ended up running in there, and like as you said, they thought enough of him to put him in the race. And so I think this horse is pretty live. Came back again, Bluegrass Angus, a tough horse out of the Craig McPherson barn. You know, we'll see him in the stake tomorrow.
Yeah. Same with Adichia, the horse that runs second.
And Adichia. I mean, they came back to win. So this horse has been running at some pretty solid horses. I don't see a ton of speed in here. There's some first-time starter action, and unless one of those kind of are prominent early, I just think if we knew then, might even be the speed of the race. So, and Pedro will definitely have this guy on the lead. So if he can. But so I like him to win it. Put the 1-horse Muriel's win in for second. Ran in the Sadie Diamond Futurity. This horse, I thought it's reasonably live in here, and good connections again. Craig McPherson and Richard Hamill. And I put the 9-horse Cowboy in Command. Just a horse that Phil Hall's off to a great start this year.
He is.
His horses are ready to roll. You know, him and his daughter Sarah do a great job. Sarah gallops as well as Phil, and their horses are ready to run, and wouldn't be surprised to see this one be live at first asking, and a lot of the second commands are pretty talented. So
and all-around Cowgirl was a
nice mare,
nice speedy
and
mare.
Had a lot of speed, and we've seen quite a few of her foals running here, and should be a tough race. This is tough. I left Troy Taylor's Heart Set out. I left Smart Focus out of Mel Snow's, who I think has some potential. The couple of firsters too, Power to Believe and Too Much Johnson, both have good credentials in the morning. But you got to pick somebody, and Mo can do it. Ran well, hit the board in a lot of his starts. Good race, tough race. Hopefully, I haven't confused you too much, but I like the 5-horse.
Take all.
No, 519. I like the 5. I think the 5 will run well. 519.
I do have the 5-horse. I got him in the second spot. I went with Call It Even. Greg Tracy horse shipping over here. Just ran in Turf Paradise in a maiden special weight there, and ran second. So he shows up here for 25. He'll be race fit, and Greg Tracy's always had some horses here over the last few years, and has always run very good early. And the fact that he's got a race under his belt, Antonio Reyes takes the call, who's a very talented rider. I think going to have a big meet here. I got Call It Even on top. I had the 5, If We Knew Then, out of the New Bolton barn, the one you mentioned with Pedro. For all the reasons you mentioned, first time out in the stake, drops in for 25. Should probably have enough talent to make some noise in here. And the third spot, I put Mo Can Do It. A horse was running, all of his first races ran at stake. Then he dropped in for maiden 35. He was heavily favored, ran behind Adichia, then went back in a maiden 25, was favored again. So he's been well backed and looked like he could, win one of these kind of
Right.
races, and he shows up 4 made, 25 protected for Mark Kluche. So I put him in the third spot. 4, 5, and 7 for me in the fifth. On to the sixth, Fillies and Mares optional 35. These are always good races. Going 6 furlongs. I went to the 3-horse Dear Lily out of the Troy Taylor barn. She's very tough at this distance. She ran this distance twice. She's got a first and a second. She's been working right along for Troy Taylor. His stats are good with these kind of runners. David Lopez in the irons, and I think she'll probably just be the speed. She's going to go to the front and say, "Catch me if you can." I put the 4, Dance the Wind in the second spot. Only ran once last year. That was in the Breakhouse Bells. Something must have happened, but she only got beat 2 lengths by Hollywood Miss and Madeira Park. And you go back and look at her form. She's probably the most talented horse in the race, but she's been off a long time. How she comes back from that, but she's ran this distance 4 times, 3 wins and a second. So I don't think you can leave Dance the Wind off the ticket under Keyshawn Balgobin. And third spot, I put Architecture out of the Dino Conolinos barn. Dino is off to a great start. Had a winning opening day and won both stakes on the Sunday. So his horses are ready to roll. Look at her form. When's the last time once she hasn't run in a stake? The first start of her life, which was a made special weight. Yeah. Now she comes in an optional 35, skipped the mare stake, goes in optional 35. I think that'll fit her well. And the way Dino's horses are running, I can't leave her off the ticket. I got her in third under Antonio Reyes. 3, 4, 6 for me in the sixth.
Yeah, this is a really tough handicapping assignment.
Yeah.
I mean, the 3, I have your same top 3 on top. I have Dear Lily.
I left off Sabrina that just won.
Dance the Wind and Architecture, but all 3 of them have been off for a ton of time.
Yeah.
Like, we're still hoping that,
August,
Dear Lily,
July,
who was off since July, Dance the
yeah.
Wind's been off since April of last year, and Architecture's
April, sorry, not August, yeah.
been off since Canada Day last year. So. And you got Sabrina, who's fresh. You got Hey Did You Notice, who's once again working well for the Phil Hall barn.
Yeah.
Habita, Blue. This is a good race. There's some nice fillies in here, and I do like 3, 4. I agree with you. 3, 4, 6. I think they're the most talented horses, but still, we're talking 6 furlongs. We're talking off a year for a lot of these, or a full year, not like 4 or 5 months after running in October. This is a long time off for a lot of these horses, and. It's just a little risky to take short prices sometimes, but I've gone Dear Lily, the 4, Dance the Wind, who's a nice stake filly at one time, and hopefully she can get back there for Carl Austin, who I know is patient with his horses, and she got a lot of miles under, so she could be live as well. And Architecture, I agree. What a great form on her. Just a nice, solid filly that's done very well, as you mentioned, for Dino, who's off to a great start again. But 3, 4, 6, but a race that you can make a case for a lot of horses. 7th and final, got some maiden 16,000 claimers going 6 panels. I ended up on the 2-horse here, Strangely Arousing. I just went one of the older, once again, kind of leaning on the older horses. I think they're a little more experienced. Strangely Arousing had some, been running in some better races or some decent races against experienced horses last year without success, but still hitting the board occasionally. And this horse has been working well for Brian O'Connell. So I'm going to go to this one to win it. Pedro Alvarado picks up the call. I put the 8-horse, Kiss Him Goodbye, who has likely the best speed in the race. Yeah. And as I mentioned, speed did well opening week, and not going to say it's going to happen again. But, I mean, Kiss Him Goodbye should be respected with Antonio Reyes and Mel Snow. This is another one working well, but has that all-dangerous element of speed. And I put the 4-horse, Secretarian, firster for Troy Taylor out of the good mare Masquerada, in for third. Obviously, they offer the horse for $16,000, so perhaps not as good as some of his more celebrated brothers or sisters like Hollywood Miss and Ukashada. There's piles of them. Frankie. Hello, Frankie at Santa Anita. There's a pile of them.
Everything this mare is thrown can run, but maybe not.
Surfaces for 16, so I know they know that. On the depth chart, I'm sure this one's down a bit because the one, the good colts like He's a Beast and other ones are in the maiden allowances. But anyway, I do like 4-year-old. I always like to lean on 4-year-olds, especially in April and May. So I'm going to go to the 2, Strangely Arousing. I went 2, 8, and 4.
I'm with you. Same numbers. I think Strangely Arousing comes into this race fit. Nice 101 work on April 9th for Brian O'Connell. That another one, small stable, does really well.
Him and his wife Joanne, they do great.
Won the Oaks here a couple years ago. They do a very good job with their horses. Pedro Alvarado takes a call. I got him on top. Kiss Him Goodbye out of the Mel Snow barn, as you mentioned, in the same spot, second spot under Antonio Reyes. One thing I was going to say about Mel's horses is you look, maybe the work tab isn't as long as you'd like.
It's abbreviated, but they got a farm.
But he's got a farm, and he has a training track at his farm. So these horses have probably been going since early January. So don't worry about any fitness level, especially early on with Mel Snow's horses. They will be running. I got him in the second spot. And Secretarian, the horse we just spoke about, owned by Glenn Todd and Mark DiDomenico, out of the Great Mare Masquerade, all the reasons you just mentioned, I've earned the third spot too. 2, 8, and 4 for me in the nightcap. That'll do it for our analysis of the Saturday card. We're going to go over our picks right now, and then we'll talk about the Kentucky Derby.
There we
Mike's
go.
picks
Here's
are up
Mike's
first.
picks back in races to recap the selections for our Saturday Derby Day program. Back in race number 1, I went to the 5, Catalia. I went 5, 3, and 1. Race number 2, once again the 5, Quiet Finality for Patty Leany. I went 5, 4, 1. Race number 3, I went to the 3, Three-Way Trade, 3, 7, and 8. Fourth race, number 6, Rachel Run over the 1, Miss Heatheridge, and the 8, Victorious Spirit. Third race, number 5, went to the 5, If We Knew Then What We Know Now. That'd be, yes, that should be the entry. The 1 horse, Mario's Win, second, and the 9, Cowboy in Command, third. Race 6, I went to the 3, Dear Lily, over the 4 and 6, and in the 7th and final, I went to the 2, Strangely Arousing. I went 2, 8, and 4.
Up next will be my picks. There we go. In the first race, I went to the 3, Elusive Lily, over the 2 and the 1. In the second, number 1, DS Siobhan, over the 2 and the 5. In the third, number 3, I agree with Mike, Three-Way Trade, over the 8 and the 4. In the fourth, number 6, Rachel Run, over the 4 and the 2. In the fifth, I went to the 4, Call It Even, over the 5 and the 7. In the sixth, I'm again with Mike on number 3, Dear Lily, over the 4 and the 6. And in the nightcap, number 2, Strangely Arousing, over the 8 and the 4.
Well, there are selections for the Hastings program. Of course, it's a big afternoon.
Happens to be another race going on in Louisville, Kentucky.
In Louisville. Race number 11 on their program is, of course, the 141st running of the Kentucky Derby. And we'll just quickly touch on that. I went to the 5-horse Danzig Moon. I'm going to go off the charts a little bit here. I mean, Dortmund, American Pharoah, brilliant horses. Carpe Diem.
Yeah,
I mean, these are brilliant
Baffert
horses.
is holding aces going into this derby.
But for some reason, brilliant horses on the first Saturday in May,
this race
going a mile and a quarter over, it's a sandier surface than their California tracks. The California horses anyway. Things don't go as well. I just get a handicap that at this pace is going to be quite torrid. I see, as usual, there's usually,
it's always quick.
A 45 and change or 46 opening half. I want an off-the-pace horse that's going to pay a bunch of money, and I've tried the 5-horse Danzig Mood. Had no pace to run at in the bluegrass. Carpe Diem ran away and hit on the head end, 48, 112. The final time was very good, but still a very respectable second. That was kind of his first chance in the bigs. He tried the Tampa Bay Derby, which he flopped once again against Carpe Diem. But I just think Danzig Moon could be the one with Julien Leperoux that sits back. Mark Cassey, another great trainer. Look at the works on this horse, 58. I mean, I hope he didn't leave it on the track. He's
got your running
but,
shoes on when you do
still,
that. Yeah.
This horse is obviously taking a light. My point is the horse is taking a liking to Churchill Downs, and this horse has a lot of ability, and I just think there's a lot of upside here. He's the right horse at the right price. He's going to be 40 to 1.
Yeah.
Let's try Danzig Moon.
He's worth a couple bucks.
Yeah, let's try Danzig Moon to win it. I put the 18. My best horse, who drew poorly, is American Pharoah. A little concerned about the trip he may get in this big, bulky field of 20 horses. I think he's the best horse. I think he's pound for pound, the most gifted horse is American Pharoah. I think he's better than Dortmund. He's most professional. He hasn't had tough trips, but he's had some physical issues, had some foot problems. But I like American Pharoah to run second. And
Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem, 1.6 million. Should get a nice horse to go to the Derby for 1.6, and he's showing up there. But
that's what you're
Johnny V took him over. Materiality, who was bred by the Derby Bar and Grill's own John Gunther.
Yes,
we'll lay claim to John Gunther. He's actually here quite a bit.
One of our regulars here.
But John Gunther bred the 3-horse Materiality, who's live. Gets Javier Castellano. But Johnny Velasquez did choose the 2 Carpe Diem, so I went to that one for third. But I'm going to try 5, 18, and 2.
I did go with American Pharoah. I talked to my brother. My brother lives in Louisville, Kentucky, trains horses there, and he's been watching all these horses work all week. And he said that American Pharoah's work, 58 and 2, he said was ultra impressive.
Yeah.
He said he just did everything pro, just looked like he was galloping. He did it nice and easy, hit his lead changes right on cue, and he just was totally pro. The one thing Grant was worried about when I talked to him earlier in the week, he said, if he gets an inside pose, I'm worried that he'll just have trouble, or he's going to have to go too soon to try and get position. He said if he's on the outside, I think he can just do kind of a big brown, sit on the outside, run around, and just be more talented and run away from him. So I put him on top. I put Materiality, as you mentioned, our good friend John Gunther bred him, one of our regulars here at the Derby Bar and Grill, who was here on Florida Derby Day when he won the Florida Derby. Very nice excited horse. That day, obviously.
He's an improving horse. This is a lot to ask, but still he's an improving horse.
I worry he might have been over the top in the Florida Derby. Like, that was a big race for him, and he's coming back.
This is his fourth start.
Relatively
it's only his fourth
quick.
Start.
And, and he's a little unseasoned. But for old John Gunther, I took Materiality in the second spot. And I put Baffert's other horse, Dortmund, who has done nothing wrong in the third spot.
He's pretty brilliant.
And a mile and a quarter, he's built like a Clydesdale. Like,
he's like big, 17, 18 hands.
Tough, strong, prize fighter type horse, which could serve him well in a race where there's 20 horses, and you might have to fight through
blemishes on
some traffic. Hasn't been
beat undefeated yet. Another undefeated horse. It's a great Derby. There's a lot of ways to go. It should be a lot of fun. Once again, that race will go at I can't even read it. What does that say?
What is it? I think it's 3:34.
3:34. We will have a bit of a break between our.
What's going to run between the 6th and the 7th?
Or something like that, but I mean, we do have a bit of a break in between a couple of our races, of course, to show the 141st.
4th and 5th. It'll run between the 4th and 5th.
141st running of the Kentucky Derby. Well, that'll do it for our first edition of Handicapper's Corner. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Those of you who emailed Mr. Todd and requested our presence here again.
They wanted it back. You got it. By popular demand, the show is returned. But thanks, everyone. Thanks to Jason and the crew here getting back. They pulled them out of their offices upstairs to do the show, and it's not always easy, and they take time out of their day to do it, which is great. But on behalf of Drew, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you next time for Sunday's card here on Handicapper's Corner.
As if the weather's clear, can do. This guy says the horse can do. If he says the horse can do. I can do.